Greetings, YouTube. I was looking at a game recently. It was something in Blood and Treasure, I think is what it was called. I had OSR version of D&D. I can't remember why I was interested in it, but I took a look at it, and it had the same kind of annoying aspects I have with all OSR games. I just don't like them. The whole, even when it comes to the stats, like 9 to 13 gets you no bonus, but so you have to have a 13, have to have like a or 9 to 12. You have to have a 13 or more to get any kind of bonus at all, which I think is bull. And the world is more granular than that. And I think most games that have it 1 point for every 2 points of one bonus for every 2 points of stat, probably much closer to reality than OSR games would have you believe. Interestingly, the magic items in there actually used the 2 point per bonus for the magic items, but not for the biological creatures wearing the magic items. I thought that was slightly strange. But they call the person in charge of the game the treasure keeper, which creates a somewhat adversarial structure right from the start. It says that, this person is keeping you from getting your treasure, and you have to go take the treasure from this person who is keeping it from you. But okay. And I'm sure that all of us have seen terms that were alternatives to both DM and GM. Now, back in the beginning, there was only DMs, Dungeon Masters, because that's all we played. We played Dungeons and Dragons. We played in dungeons. We crawled through, you know, dank, nonsensical death traps to gain stuff, which we then would go spend on things so they could go crawl back into another dank, nonsensical dungeon and crawl through stuff. Um, we weren't real subtle for a lot of that those earlier years. But then again, we moved to Game Master because there were lots of games other than D&D. And so being more inclusive seemed to make sense, particularly if you were going to be running an Old West game or uh, a science fiction game, something like that. Dungeon Master didn't make a lot of sense if you were playing Traveler. Um, and then there are really generic terms which have been used, like ref. Who's the ref? That's taken from sports, but it's still a pretty valid term. They're persons in charge of the game. They're in charge of making sure that the rules are, in theory, applied, dispassionately um, and without favoritism. And we all know how well that's worked out when it comes to tabletop role-playing games. Um, but then there are things like the storytellers or the crypt keepers. But we've all encountered different terms of varying degrees of corny and cringe. And it just makes me think, as soon as you whip out a term that isn't game master, it sounds very pretentious to me. It sounds very cringy. It sounds like you're trying to be different for the sake of being different, to try to set yourself apart from all the other 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 tabletop role-playing games that exist in the world. You're not that different. It's very rare to find a game that is startlingly different from something else. Okay? And if you're running a OSR low fantasy system, you're not different from D&D or Tunnels and Trolls or CNC or all the other different, the things out there had names that were double letters. V&V superheroes. Remember that one? Everybody remember V&V? I have the original box set still. Um, and I just find those terms really corny. So I would like to hear the worst ones you've heard. The terms for someone that's in charge of a game that was the corniest and the cringiest that you have ever encountered. Because I eat this stuff up and I want to know what they are. Maybe I should go on to the Big Purple and ask if anybody else there has got the cringiest, corniest name out there for uh, a person in charge of a game. Um, because I gotta tell you, I found Treasure Keeper to be pretty corny, but it's mild. So, as compared to some of the ones that are out there, the narrators and the director. Oh, I read the director for a game once, and I'm like, really? The director? Okay, whatever. So yeah, let's talk about the names for the people that run games and how bad they can be.